What's up guys, Ivan Carranza here and welcome to Bass Tone Tuesday. Today we're checking out the Pultec style of EQ on bass. If you're not familiar with the Pultec style of EQs, they are a staple in the studio and have been used in the recording industry for many years because they sound extremely musical. Now the Pultec EQ is a rack unit, so they're probably gonna live in a studio and we won't be able to take that to a gig. But the concept that I'm gonna show you here can be used live, and also of course if you're in a rehearsal space or if you wanna record and you don't have a Pultec plugin or a Pultec studio unit, you can apply the concept still. So I have here a track on Logic and I used a Pultec EQ on the bass track. So I wanna show you how I used it and why I used it. So let's jump to Logic. I have here a recording of my screen and I'm going to show you the EQ and the effect that it has. So here we have the session. This is the bass track right here in the bottom portion. I turned off before all the plugins, but this is how the bass sounds, with all the post-processing. I have just some high pass filter and low pass filter, then the Pultec, a compressor, and another compressor. But I'm gonna turn everything off so you can hear or listen to the raw bass track, and that is my Dingwall Super P going through a Gallien-Kruger amp simulation with an 8x10 cabinet, and this is how it sounds like. Right, it's aggressive kind of amp setting. I mean, it's not super aggressive or super distorted, but it has a bit of harshness in the top end, and it's pretty full in the low end as well. Pretty typical Gallien-Kruger, I would say. And this is why I used actually the Pultec EQ. Now, these are the settings that I had. I'm gonna load another instance, and I'm gonna walk you through the the front panel of the device. Okay, so here we have the Pultec EQ. We have two, or you could call them three bands, if you will. The low portion is here. We have a boost knob, which boosts the low frequencies. We have an attenuation knob that cuts low frequencies. And then here down below, we have a switch that tells you at which frequency you're boosting and cutting. This is very important because when you pick a frequency, you're boosting and cutting at the same frequency. And this is where the magic of the Pultec EQ happens. I'm going to come back to that in a second, but let me walk you through the front panel still. Now we have then on the far right, we have an attenuation selector, which selects the frequency as well. This is in kilohertz, so 5K, 10K, and 20K. And then the attenuation knob, dials in how much you're taking out of the upper portion of the frequency. For the boost, you also can select how much you're boosting in the upper frequency, but that frequency is selectable here with this knob. So the attenuation point and the boosting points are different for the upper portion of the frequency spectrum. And then you have here the bandwidth, which is the Q, so how sharp or how wide the boost is going to be. Now, like I said, the bass sound is a bit harsh because of the pick and because of the amp, and you can listen to it really if you pay attention to the attack of the notes. Now, if I want to remove that, I can use the attenuation knob here. So I'm gonna start at 10K and I'm gonna increase this until I think it sounds good. Maybe then try another frequency band, maybe 5, because 20 is way too high. I'm gonna turn it off. So there I can hear that it is still it has definition, but it's not as harsh. This is on, off. Right, I'm gonna just loop this very portion. Gonna turn it off. Now it might be a bit too aggressive, so I'm just gonna, just to test, I'm gonna put it back at 5. This sounds better, I think. And now that I've cut some of that harshness, I can then pick also maybe the same frequency at 5 and boost again some treble and see what happens. Can I turn it off? So I've taken out some treble, boosted again some treble, and those two filters interacting with each other is what makes the Pultec EQ so cool. I'm gonna turn on the drums just so that we can hear, the bass cutting through the drums, and then I'm gonna turn it off and on to see what happens. This is off. This sounds much like clear and focused. You still have all the definition of the bass, but you don't have all of that frequencies going in your ear, which are going to be taken out or occupied by the cymbals and also guitars, keyboards, you name it. So this is a great tool to use to remove some harshness, street noise, fret noise, and so on. Now we can do the same thing for the bass, which is also pretty much the magic, like the really good thing about the Pultec EQ. So I'm gonna do an aggressive, like a very aggressive cut on the bass, because probably you're listening to this on the phone. So we're gonna have to be, drastic here. And then I'm gonna pull it back a bit. Now it's gone, right? I'm gonna pull it back slowly until we hear the bass again. I think it's a good point. And now I'm gonna boost at the same frequency. I'll turn it off. It just sounds a lot thicker, but not muddy. And this is the cool thing about this style of EQ. Without it, it sounds kind of flat, like lacking body. I'm gonna turn on the drums so we can hear. This is without. We're cutting bass here and then boosting it back, and we're cutting treble and boosting it back, and that interaction is making the bass just sit nicely in the mix. And like I mentioned, this is something, of course, that you can do with a rack unit like this one, but you can also do it with pedals or amps. For example, and even easier, probably something that you already have on your bass if you have a passive bass, is a tone control. So if you roll off the tone control, you're cutting treble. And then if you boost treble again, you're making those two filters interact with each other. It's not going to be, of course, the same frequency point like here, and the curves are going to be different and so on, but you can achieve similar results by doing that. Also, if your amp has a high-pass filter, for example, like the Mesa Boogie amp, the Subway amps have a high-pass filter that's variable, or a Noble DI, like the one I have here, also has a high-pass filter and a boost on the bass control. I think Bergantino amps have also a variable high-pass filter. Or you can get a pedal, for example, Broughton Audio sells pedal high-pass filters and also low-pass filters. So you can use that to apply these concepts on your pedal board, or if you go to a session to record, or if you just want to dial in tones at home, or if you want to experiment mixing and recording and moving things around and see how you can get cool bass sounds. Another one, and just to demonstrate that it doesn't really have to be the same frequency, and this is something that I checked when I was visiting my buddy Stefan Pfaff, shout out to him, great bass player from Berlin. He has a real Neve channel strip, and that's when I heard that you can do a similar thing with a different unit. And of course, well, Neve of course makes great stuff. If I go to the bottom portion of the channel strip, we have the EQ section, and here is the high pass filter. Now I can cut at 50, 80, 160, and 300. I'm gonna cut at 50. I'm gonna bypass it. It is subtle, but you do notice that some of the rumble goes away. Now, on the bass boost knob, I cannot boost at 50. I can either pick 35, 60, 110 to 120. So I'm gonna pick 60, and I'm gonna do a slight boost there. Bypass it. It is subtle, but it is making an impact. And if I put on the drums here, let me loop it again. This is off. Gonna turn it on. Off again. So thick and punchy, and these are different frequencies that are boosting and cutting, but the interaction of these two filters is sounding amazing in the mix. So like I said, this is something you can try at home with different pedals, or the tone control on your bass, or if your amp has a variable high pass filter, or if you just want to experiment when you record your own bass stuff. But I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with the content that's coming to the channel. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.